Hi there. In this video I want to show you how to create categories for your gradebook so you can then place assignments in those various categories and do some things like assign weighted calculations for your final grades for your course. Firstly, we want to make sure that you're in the correct school year. So we want to make sure that you click the drop down arrow here at the top. Click this triangle because you can see I'm in semester 2 of the 23-24 school year. So I'm going to go to the 24-25 school year, and then I'm going to choose my class. Okay. And I'm on the assignment screen by default. And now that I'm in the 24-25 school year, I can go ahead and start setting things up for myself. Now, if we go to grading and categories, you're going to see that there are categories that are applied to all of the classes in the 24-25 school year, formative and summative. And I'm pretty sure if we try to delete this category, it's going to give us an error that we can't. It says that there are assignments associated with it, but there aren't. I think that this is something that's just because there's old historic stuff tied to these categories in my gradebook, I can't delete it. You can go ahead and try to see if you're able to delete them if these appear in your gradebook. Odds are pretty high that you probably won't be able to. So we're just going to have to kind of leave them there and do other stuff with it. You know, just ignore them for the time being and just not use them. So to set up some categories, you click the plus sign in the upper right corner to create, and you can create 3 different types of things: assignments, categories, or observations. Observations are new, and I'm not going to talk about them right now. We're going to focus mainly on assignments and categories. So if we choose to make a new category, we get this screen, and there's a lot of different options here. There's a couple of reasons we want to have categories. I already stated one reason is to set up weightings, like homework should count as 10% of their grade, quizzes and tests should count as 20% each, projects should be 35%, blah, blah, blah. So you can set up the weighting for your course based on how you've designed it so that you can appropriately give weight to the various types of assignments, and instead of counting every single assignment as having the same exact weight. The other reason you set up categories is to set up the defaults whenever you create a new assignment in that category. So you don't have to check every little box and remember all of the settings. You can have it set up as a default, and then you only need to change it if something is different about a special assignment in that category. So as we go to create a category, the first option we have is limit this category to these classes. I'm going to limit it just to the programming and game design class that I'm using as this demo, because there are some other classes in here that I don't want to mess with. Okay, these are actual classes that are under the to be determined teacher right now, but are going to get transferred to an actual teacher once we know who they are. So I'm going to just choose the programming and game design. I can see that that's the one class that's selected now, and I'm going to call my first category projects, because in the programming class there was like a major programming project in each and every unit. I'm going to color it teal. These colors are not great. They're not contrasting very much, but you know, you want to try to pick a different color for each category. You want to make sure it's active. You don't need to do a description because you're pretty much going to know what the category is. If you think you might forget what that category is for, I'd say put a description in here, but for most of us, we probably can skip it. So now if we go to the next tab, which is the assignment defaults, this is where, as I said, any assignment you create in this category will be set up with these settings. So you should leave publish assignment to immediately, because 99% of the time, as soon as you put the grades in the gradebook, you're going to want it to appear in the gradebook. The only reason you might not want to is if you're a person who gives like pop quizzes, and you're also an organized person who like on the weekend gets their gradebook set up for the upcoming week, and you don't want that Thursday pop quiz to appear on the gradebook Monday because kids might get a hint that something's coming. So you could say, you know, publish it on the due date, or so many days before the due date, or never, and then after you've actually put the grades in, then you could come back and change it to immediately. So once you have the assignment, you can come back for any individual assignment and change the publishing, But I recommend you leave the default at immediately because that's what you're going to want most of the time. You're also going to want to publish the scores, so leave that checked. For the score type, you're going to want to choose grade scale. That's going to be our new grade scale, which is the A plus A minus, B plus B, that looks very much like a traditional grading system. Behind the scenes, PowerSchool does everything on percentages, so I would just make the scoring be out of 100 points. That's just behind the scenes. And then count in traditional final grades. You want that turned on so that it will calculate and keep up to date a student's current progress in your class. And that is it. So if we hit save, you can now see that my projects category is there. And I'm going to actually move it to the top of the list because I want the formative and summative to be at the bottom. I'm going to create one more really quickly before we end this video. We'll call this one exams. We'll color it orange, let's say. Active, skip the description, assignment defaults, immediately publish it with a grade scale and 100 points, and count in final grades, save, and I'm done. Move it up a couple, maybe even do it so it's alphabetical, exams and then projects, and I'm finished. That's it. You can create as many categories. Oops, I just realized I accidentally forgot to change this one to only be my programming class. As long as you haven't created any assignments with that category in another class, you can always come back and change that. So keep that in mind. You may want different categories for different types of classes you teach. Anywho, that's categories. I'll see you in another video where we can cover some of the other concepts of the gradebook. Have a good day.